All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm super excited today because I am with a dear friend of mine, Samantha, who is a certified forms trainer, a certified transaction coordinator, an all around great lady, who is going to be my expert on my YouTube channel and for my company in general as to hopefully field a myriad of questions as it relates to the changes in the NAR requirements and actions as it relates to commission. So without any further ado, Sam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself properly, because I'm sure I messed some of that up.
Nah,
And
you're fine.
okay,
Sam Hays, One Stop Transaction Services. I've been a licensed realtor for over 2 decades. I chose the TC lifestyle. I love forms, certified by CAR and everything possible, alphabet soup. My goal has been to help educate agents and make sure that they are comfortable with understanding why do we have these forms, why do they exist, risk management and compliance specialist.
copy you. And if I am you and I know each other socially. So
Right.
this is our first conversation professionally. And you revealed an interesting detail to me prior to the show going live, which is you said that your family had been in real estate. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm a third generation.
Third generation. And you just opted to be more on the form side so that you didn't have to do as much traveling. Is that
That's
effectively
That and I just took to it like a duck to water. It just makes sense to me, and I'm able to translate it for other individuals to understand. It's one of those things that just it makes sense.
okay? Well, at the beginning, when we were doing the preamble, you were saying how incredibly busy you were, and I kind of wanted to start this off like a little bit like an interview because you already know what my position is as a lifetime salesperson. I have never really understood real estate agents that don't sign contracts for anything related to their services. I always have and always would. People have contracts with InboundREM and the companies that I run, and we spell out the agreement between the two people so that everybody knows what's going to happen. But obviously, there's a lot of changes coming down. NAR has certainly run through its a healthy amount of challenges. You're here in California, but you have a network of people throughout the country that you talk to about this subject. You said that you were super busy. What has been keeping you the most busy? Like what are people asking? What's really getting you running around in circles right now?
How to stay compliant, how to make sure you're not getting one of these fees, CRMLS, which is runs most of the nation's MLSs. They go into effect on the 17th. Well, they've already started their fines, and there's no gray area. There's no nothing. It's a $2,500 instant fine. And then I believe the next one is 5,000. Next step is you are not allowed to participate in the MLS any longer. They
Okay.
are not messing around.
Well, they can't.
They can't.
They have a state. They have legal repercussions on the state and now the federal level as well.
100%.
So
They're the ones being held responsible for making sure that everything goes into compliance from the settlement, is all the
gotcha.
MLSs.
So explain this 25. So and to you and to everybody else, I admit this clearly. I've followed the cases. I have not followed the specifics. So when you say a 2,500 or a $5,000 fine, you are specifically saying that if a contract hits this, or let me ask you a question. I don't know if this is what you're specifically saying. If a contract hits the MLS without the buyer's what a commission spelled out in advance, that's where the fine is.
So no, actually, it's if you are offering any type of broker compensation that is not allowed. If you were trying to slide it in there, being cute, if you're putting it in your photos with your listing, if you're kind of sliding in numbers in any of the verbiage, they are hiring AI to go through every single posting, every single listing, and flag anything like that. They're not questioning it. It's a straight up going to start finding people. If you are not in compliance with the requirements of the documentation moving forward, and they're going to be requesting things, they will find you.
Okay, well that's really that's very broad. You're saying compliance. Where have these compliance, where is the information to be compliant been posted?
This is from the NAR settlement, and each one of the CRMLSs are also posting their own new updated rules and regs. As of August 17th, the NAR will be directing any MLS that is opted into participation to be under the settlement guidance. They must follow anything that is part of that settlement set down, which is removing that compensation, the cooperating compensation, that is removing anything along the lines of discussing well, it's the commissions, it's also anything for any trust, meaning that, well, we put 3%, so the brokerage down the door is now doing 3%. So now everybody in the industry always does 3%. Anything that feels that it's any way, shape, or form a type of steerage or any trust that does not fall within the rules and regs outlined in the NAR settlement, they will fine you.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So if I was an agent here in California, which is where both you and I are located at, physically located at, well, I'm not located here full time, but anyway, that home base is
Right.
generally speaking for both of us,
Right.
California. If I wanted to find the very specific things that I needed to include, where would I go right now, today? Today being August 7th.
At this point, you would honestly go to your local association and that participating MLS. Each MLS is deciding a different time frame prior
Mhm.
to the 17th. I know I am in San Diego, so SDAR as of Monday has removed the opportunity to put cooperating compensation. As of the 13th, they're removing any other spaces in the document. So when you look at an MLS printout here in San Diego, and typically most MLSs, there was a space that said what percentage, that's gone. Now they're also going to be removing any type of space where you could, some were offering concessions where the seller before has offered concessions for flooring or for if, it needs to be painted or termite. Well, people are now starting to use that for also compensation. That is being removed. So there's no space for any of along those lines. What they need to do is contact, first they need to start with their own individual broker. If they are their own individual broker, then you need to get in with the association. CAR and NAR themselves, I know all the other states are doing the same thing, all have step-by-step websites. All you have to do is go to your home base of your association website, put in NAR settlement, and there's a whole list of rules and regs for your specific state and how they're moving forward.
Okay. So the California Association of Realtors, which is the abbreviation for CAR forms, okay, so that's you. So you're saying somewhere on this website, car.org, by the way, for those who are following along, transaction center. So realtor secure transaction standard forms, inspection and coordinator, zip forms.
It should be the one on the look on the right-hand side. There's a link.
Standard forms, inspections.
They should say new. It's kind of blinking on the right-hand side. Hold on, I'm pulling it up so you can see it.
Okay. New forms and practices.
Yep.
Important update.
Yep. Learn more.
Got you. They just threw a badge on there. And then when you do that, you get a sign in. So if you're not already a member, you have to sign in, or whoever's handling your transactions, ladies and gentlemen, has to sign in.
Correct.
And then in here, there will be the new forms, correct?
Correct. It's the new forms. It's also guidance on how to document your files, how to communicate with consumers, how to go through all the step-by-steps, what to do if you already have a listing that existed prior to the new forms drop. All of that is there.
Okay. So I am somewhat curious. Let's say that you are an established broker or agent and you are working very strictly with the transaction coordinator. In other words, as a realtor, you have not done your own transaction paperwork in quite a while. Okay, let's say a transaction coordinator like you screws the form up. You just mentioned that there's a fine for $2,500 and $5,000. Who's responsible for the fine? The transaction coordinator?
Broker is always responsible for these things. And then these are contracts. So as much as I love and I can help and provide documentation, when you're doing anything in a file that results in negotiation, setting up your contract and such, that is a broker responsibility. However, your best practice is to talk to your TC, talk to your E&O, and make sure everybody's on the same page and that we have proper education. And if you don't have that, right now is one of those times you really need to be taking the current courses. There are free ones that are offered by NAR and CAR, being again my state, for both the buyer broker and the listing agreement, how to go through this. So I will get you that link to make sure you've got that to share with everyone.
Okay. All right. So,
And those free courses are, you have to be a CAR, NAR member, but if you are a member of either one, they do have free training on this right now.
okay. All right. So, National Association of Realtors, ladies and gentlemen, I am on that website now. There is the mobile app that they're doing, forms for realtors, presidential slides. It's very similar actually in appearance to the California Association of Realtors. It looks like they both use the same web developer to build their websites. I am not seeing quite as easy of a button to click as
So you're
I
gonna go, it should be the fax. There should be one that goes right to that. Is there a shortcut? Let me get to the actual one because mine all defaults back to all the records.
National
So it should be
Association.
under real estate topics.
Okay.
Let me back it out to get to the main page. Because I'm on them so much, all my stuff keeps defaulting to it.
Hold on. I'm going to go to nar.realtor.com/. Let's just take a look here. Let's just see if it gets, if I get a pop-up, because I am not on this website all the time.
Understood.
Okay, yes. So when I go to the homepage, which is nar.realtor, nothing else, there is a pop-up in the middle of the screen, a transparent pop-up box that says, get the latest updates on the August 17th practice changes. I'm clicking on that button. This is the National Association of Realtors. Get the facts, latest resources, FAQs, broker-to-broker agreements, what the NAR settlement means for buyers and sellers. If you don't know that by now, I worry for you.
There's links to videos, even more so. And then there is for members, there's going to be another webinar next week.
I got you. Okay. As an aside to all the people that do watch this video, I have a deep fascination. This is for my own personal knowledge. I am just curious how many people agree with the assessment of the government that says that these changes are actually going to benefit not you guys. This is a big pain in the butt for all of us in real estate, but for the actual consumer. If you can leave me a note in the comments and just let me know if you think it will or will not be positively impactful for the consumer. I would be curious to know everybody's thoughts. I personally think that they're unnecessarily complicating the process, but I understand that there were people that had strong feelings about this, and I am not the person, I am not the audience, because I am not a person that does a lot of real estate transactions. What do you think, Sam? How do you, like, just globally and without getting yourself into any trouble, what do you think about this? It's obviously creating a lot of work for you, which you got to be happy about.
I'm grateful for the work. I'm grateful for the transparency. I think it could have been handled in a different manner.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So I've covered the questions that I could think to ask, but I want to be clear here to everybody watching the show, and to say this again to you, Sam, this is one of my weakest skill sets. I am analytical, but only as it relates to marketing statistics and things like that. When it comes to forums, my ADHD and other things that I personally combat with, like, I would be the very first person in line to hire you, and you could charge me almost anything you wanted. Like, that's who I am as a person. Like, but you put me talking to people, I love it. So, my personality gravitates to the personal interaction part. And I feel a lot of my customers are the same way. Like my real estate brokers and agents are all powerhouses in creating relationships. But when it comes to forms, not so much. So what can it give me a couple of things? Give me like a top 2 things to be aware, like maybe pros and cons. What are 2 great things that you've already noticed that are happening, and 2 things that you've already noticed that are mistakes that people are making?
Well, before I even get into that, I'm going to say there's a reason you and I are friends, and there's a reason that different people match. We play to each other's highest and best. So that's why you've got to, if you partner up with anybody, make sure you're partnering up with somebody who wants to be this big a nerd like I do. I mean, there's a reason I love this stuff. That's going to be the first saving grace. And I'm seeing that as a benefit where people who have not seen the benefit previously of having somebody who is a specialist focused on risk management, this is opening up that door to really look at the reality of this industry, what we do. There's a reason you have a whole team involved.
Mhm.
And I think this is what helps. Why you have to have an escrow, a separate title, a separate lender, everything has to be separated. There's so much. So that's one of the gifts I see of this is recognizing how many people it takes to do this and bringing together a team to provide the best service for our clients.
Mhm.
The other thing I see that's a benefit of this is honestly, it's shaking out those that jump into our industry thinking it's easy and people who do this for fun and quick and don't take it seriously. There are many of us that are lifers that have been here for a very long time that take real estate very seriously. And we've had to deal with a lot of people on the other side of transactions, and it's impacted clients and ourselves and our time. I think that's shaking it out. My bigger concern on the other side, the detriments I'm seeing, I am concerned the rollout had to be so quick that
Mhm.
even with those of us that are staunch education, education, education,
Sure.
it's a huge amount to absorb in a small window of time with very big penalties. So that is a concern. My other concern is I don't feel that the tone of how this has been presented to a lot of people. I have multiple YouTube videos of my own, and I am enthusiastic because that's who I am, as you know. Others are coming across in an energy that I think is taking away from this and not seeing this as a tool, but seeing this as a punishment. And no matter how we feel about it, it's happening and it's what's going to be required. So how do we make it be an opportunity? And that's what I want to focus on is supporting any client I work with is providing more opportunities and more service for you to be able to take care of your clients. And we all just keep working together, doing our best.
Okay. So you're worried about the speed of the rollout. You're
Yes.
excited about the fact that there is some kind of regulation that protects the consumer. I'm just paraphrasing what I feel like I heard you say.
All good.
Um, and actually, those are my two main takeaways. Is that about right?
That's about right.
Okay. All right. So we're going to wrap up. Sam, I'm going to ask how people can reach out to you. We will, for those of you who are watching who are familiar with my YouTube channel, the show notes and the index will be in the description of this video. So I will put any information there that you send to me, Sam. But for the people who, like myself, who oftentimes don't actually ever open up a video, how would you like people to find you?
Easiest way, honestly, is any one of the platforms on social media. LinkedIn, I'm at One Stop TC. My cell phone is surgically attached at 619-993-7264. And I'm happy to talk about this stuff anytime, even if I'm not TC on the file. As you and I were talking about, since you have a nationwide client base, I too work with a TC group that is nationwide. So even if it's not a California question, I can get you to an expert who's somebody like me who wants to be able to help you in your state where you're working.
And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching the show, if I could give Samantha 1,000 5-star reviews, I would. She is an amazing human, and I hope that those of you who are watching this particular episode, if you have some questions, I can promise you that Sam has a big heart, and that you can probably call her up and ask those questions, and you'll get served very well. So
Thank
thank
you,
you so
friend.
much, Sam, for doing me the personal favor of coming on to the channel. I'm hoping that my clients and my followers and the people that stumble across my stuff will stumble across you and will follow you. I'm just going to repeat what you already said. I just looked this up. It's one spelled out, one ONE stop TC. If you simply Google that, you will find Sam's Facebook page, YouTube channel, Instagram, and that seems to be it, which is plenty. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sam. I'm going to hit the
Thank you.
stop record button and then hang out with me for one more second.
Will do.